What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about why Keir Starmer is unpopular. Well, this may come as a total shock to you, but most of us Americans, we don't really know what goes on in the UK. So this is something I really haven't heard much about at all here in the United States. And honestly, I might have a leg up on a lot of other Americans, because at least I know who the Prime Minister of the UK even is. I think a lot of Americans probably don't even know that. But I do have to admit, I was not aware that Keir Starmer was so unpopular. I don't know if this has happened gradually or if this is a recent thing. Didn't he win the election pretty handily last year, right? So today I want to check out this video by TLDR News and learn about what's happening in the UK right now and what the people of the UK think about the government, the leadership, and Keir Starmer in particular. So let's take a look.
We're slowly closing in on 1 year of the new Labour government, and things could certainly be going better for Keir Starmer.
Oh.
In the last couple of months, we've seen the Labour Party slip further and further down in the polls, with them now being overtaken by Nigel Farage's Reform UK party, indicating that if there was an election held today, on paper at least, Farage could become the next occupant of...
What? Who is this? I've never even heard of this guy before. That's how out of the loop I am. I think most Americans have no idea about this stuff. You know, we have enough problems when I think about it. Maybe we have enough problems going on here in the United States. That's kind of my defense for why maybe a lot of Americans don't know about this. But in general, you know, I'll admit it. A lot of us Americans, we're not very worldly. We're not very much in touch with politics and news as around the world, like on a global scale. We're just way too concerned about America and kind of stuck in our America bubble. There's a lot of stuff going on here right now, as I'm sure a lot of you are probably aware. But I was not aware about this or this guy or the Reform UK Party. Reform UK Party. That's actually leading right now.
Of number 10 Downing Street. There are many well-understood reasons for this. Firstly, Starmer's proven an ineffective communicator, unable to spin a grand narrative for his premiership. Second, his policies have been remarkably unpopular, with him recently actually making a soft U-turn on the decision to means test the winter fuel allowance.
I have no idea what the winter fuel allowance is. I haven't the faintest idea what that means. I hope they explain that. But I understand the concept of poor communication. I think I'm very familiar with that. I can relate to that. Poor communication skills. Anyway, because when you can get into the details and debate all about the policy decisions and all that, but fundamentally, a leader of any nation, there's a couple ground rules you got to have, right? They got to be likable. They, of course, you have to have policies and ideas that you agree with, but right up there is good communicator, right? That's pretty much synonymous with a good leader is a good communicator.
And thirdly, the international landscape has provided no respite to embattled Chancellor Rachel Reeves. Seemingly every time she comes up with a plan to kickstart growth, something happens on the world stage that wipes this out and puts her back on square one. Against this backdrop,
they immediately cut to Trump Yeah, okay.
Recently released polling data shows that not only has Starmer's first months in office been bad, they're the worst since 1983, when polling data of this kind began.
Oh my God.
So, in this video, we're going to have a look into this, analysing exactly how bad Starmer's start has actually been.
Okay. Again, this is TLDR News. Very good. The worst 8 months for a prime minister ever? I'm not exactly familiar with how elections work in the UK. I gotta brush up on that. Is an election held every so often, or can an election be called? Or is there any chance of Keir Starmer like getting so unpopular that he could be booted out and someone else come in? Are we getting into that kind of realm, that territory? I don't know, but the worst 8 months of a PM ever. That's pretty bad.
After 14 long years out of power, how's Starmer doing at the helm of the UK? Well, it's a mixed bag. So check out our analysis of Labour's
Okay, that's like their little newsletter.
with UK polling. As we've mentioned in a few videos and podcasts recently, Reform UK has really shot up in the polls in the last few weeks.
Okay.
While earlier this year there were occasional polls that showed them out in front, since the 16th of April, Reform has consistently been first in every poll by the major pollsters.
Why have I not heard of Reform UK? Now, I want to be perfectly clear, and I'm not trying to be offensive here when I say, here in the United States, like, the vast majority of Americans have no idea what any of the political parties are in the UK. Like I said earlier, a lot of Americans don't even know who the Prime Minister of the UK is. It's very sad. I like to think I'm a little more, in the know on some of this stuff. I'm at least on the internet learning about this, but even I don't, I haven't heard of this Reform UK. How did they do in the last election? Because they seem to be kind of killing it right now. They're doing real well. And I'm not sure who their leader is or what he's all about.
Even more significantly, since the local elections on the 1st of May, we've seen that Reform has not only pulled out in front, it has, in some instances, recorded double-digit leads.
Wow.
A Find Out Now poll from the 21st of May, for instance, shows Reform on 32%.
Wow. Holy cow. I'm shocked I haven't heard of this, because this is significant. Now, is this because the Reform UK party has become a lot more popular, their ideas? Or is it more because the Labour Party has become a lot less popular?
And Labour in second place, down on 21%, giving Reform an 11-point lead.
Wow.
On the flip side of things to Reform, the Conservatives have been dropping even faster than Labour, and are actually starting to poll ever so slightly lower than the Liberal Democrats,
Wow.
meaning that they've essentially dropped down to fourth place. Obviously, while this has helped Labour, a stronger Conservative party might have been able to beat them to second place in the current polling landscape, things certainly aren't looking rosy for them. As we pointed out, Labour is still in second place to Reform UK.
Okay.
And, well, things don't look any rosier when we turn to Starmer's personal poll ratings.
Oh, jeez.
Ipsos put Starmer on a minus 31 net favourability rating. This is significantly worse than Ed Davey on minus 7 and Nigel Farage on minus 19. Although it is slightly better than Kemi Badenoch, who was polling pretty much as badly on a minus 32 net favourability rating.
Okay. This is really interesting for me, actually, because I didn't even realize how little I knew about modern UK politics. I didn't know about any of these party leaders or the disapproval and approval ratings and the shifts in the favorability of the parties. It seems like the UK is really going through a dramatic shift in what's popular right now.
All in all, then, it should be abundantly clear that things really aren't going well for Starmer and Labour.
Yeah.
But just how bad is this?
Okay.
To answer this, we're going to have a look at two different sets of polls. First, we're going to compare the first 8 months of polling for Starmer's government to the first 8 months of previous governments.
Oh, geez. Okay. We're talking a lot about how freaking bad Starmer is doing. He's not doing well. It's clear. The data shows this easily. I hope they talk a little bit about why Keir Starmer is going down in the polls so much. What exactly, specifically, has he done that people are so unhappy about? That's what, as an American, that's what I feel like that's the missing piece here that I don't know about.
Then we're going to have a look at the most important issues facing voters.
There we
and
go.
what they think of Labour on these issues.
Okay, perfect.
As we can see, thanks to Mark Pack, who has consolidated historical polling information, Labour's post-election polling has been the worst of any government since 1983, when this kind of polling average began. In the first 8 months of governing, their average polling has dropped a whopping 12.3 points, from 37.5% in July 2024 to 25.2% in March 2025.
My God.
In all 11 elections since 1983, this is not only the largest drop in polling of a governing party, but it's the largest drop by some margin.
Oh my God. So this is unprecedented levels of unpopularity, just to be clear.
Only following the 1992 election, in which John Major came through with a shock victory, did a polling drop even come close to this. Even then, though, Tory polling only dropped 8.3 points in Major's first 8 months.
Right.
Not quite the 12.3-point drop experienced by Starmer's Labour.
Okay.
Similarly, when we turn to look at the average polling in the 8 months since the election, Labour has averaged a mere 29.2%.
Okay.
The next lowest polling average since an election was following the 2015 general election, when the Conservatives, who had just secured a small majority, averaged only 39.1% in their first 8 months.
Like they said, these are not just new levels of unpopularity. They are significantly lower than the next lowest ever.
Even this is 10 points higher than the current Labour government, though. On both of these metrics, then, Starmer's government is performing the worst of any government after an election since at least 1983.
The last 40 years.
When we move on and have a look at policy areas, we can start to see why.
Here we go.
According to YouGov, the public think that the two most important policy areas are asylum and immigration and the economy.
Oh, okay. I would say this is like literally the same top two issues here in the United States right now, I would say. Economy and immigration. Yeah, exactly the same top two, hot topics here in America too.
Unfortunately for Starmer, Labour are just not trusted on either of these, despite their efforts in recent weeks and months.
Okay.
On asylum and immigration, a mere 11% think that Labour would be the best party to handle this.
Okay.
Above them is none, indicating a respondent thinks that no party would do well handling it, which is on 14%, and Reform UK, which is on 37%.
Okay.
71% of Brits have all...
I don't really know what the immigration politics are like exactly in the UK. It's a little different here in the United States because what America struggles with the most right now is illegal immigration and how we are addressing the fact that there's a lot of people here in the United States that have immigrated here illegally, and a lot of those people have been living here in the United States for, I don't know, like a generation or two or something now, and just trying to figure out how to deal with all that and who should stay and who should go and how much immigration is good. Because you, of course, want some immigration into your country. That's a good thing, and it can really be a great benefit to your country. And then at what point is it too much, and the country can't handle that many people? Or is the country gaining a benefit as a whole from immigration? And these are very tough things to sort of objectively look at and quantify for any country. Definitely here in America, we're struggling a lot with this right now, and it sounds like the UK is as well. But I'm guessing it's not exactly the same type of issues, but it has to do with immigration, though.
And Reform UK, which is on 37%. 71% of Brits have also said that immigration has been too high for the last 10 years, and 76% have said that the current government is handling the issue badly.
Okay.
Realising this was an issue, a few weeks ago, Starmer announced a new set of rules aimed at cracking down on immigration.
Okay.
As part of this, he
So this is legal. For the UK, this is simply normal. This is legal immigration that maybe the majority of people in the UK think, okay, it's actually gotten too high, and the UK is only so big. So only so many people can, live, survive, for lack of a better way to put this. Interesting. So it is kind of different.
promised to increase the amount of time that migrants have to have lived in the UK before attaining settled status, while
Okay.
also introducing new rules requiring English tests for all visa applicants.
Oh, wow. Requiring. Okay, so this is also talking about how immigrants to the UK need to assimilate more into UK culture to gain legal status, like become a citizen, or I don't know what settled status means. Maybe be a permanent resident of the UK, and there's actually rules that are going to require more English proficiency. Makes sense. In the UK, you do speak English.
Clearly, though, the electorate have not been convinced by this. When it comes to the economy, things look just as dire. According to YouGov, roughly the same number of people think Labour and the Tories would be better at looking after the economy.
Okay.
Brutally, though, the same number think that no party would be good at looking after it.
What? What? What is this stat? A certain portion of the UK said, who would be best at handling the economy? Nobody. Nothing. The absence of a brain would be better than the other parties? Oh my God, what does that say?
In fact, when asked which specific government, one led by Starmer or one led by Badenoch, would be better at looking after the economy, 49% of respondents claimed that neither party would be good.
Oh, jeez.
Clearly, the electorate has no optimism that the political class at the moment can get a handle on the economy.
Oh my God.
The Labour government promised to improve the financial situation in the UK. In fact, this was one of the main points of the election campaign.
Yeah, I think I remember a little bit about this. Back when I was learning a little bit about Keir Starmer and the new UK government and sort of their plans and whatnot, the king gave a speech on the platform of the new government and all this stuff. And right there, number one, deliver an economic stability. That's a bit unfortunate. It's a bit embarrassing if the majority of people in the UK now think that anyone else would be better at it.
This just hasn't happened yet, and people have had to suffer with spending cuts, whether that's welfare or the winter fuel allowance, alongside negligible growth.
Wow.
Now, while getting on top of these policy areas may not be an instant quick fix for Starmer's polling, it could, at the very least, be the beginning of a Labour comeback.
Okay.
Lots of people actively don't like shaving. It's
Oh, is that it? I think we're talking about shaving. This is just an ad for shaving. Okay. All right. So, and maybe the ending to this is like if Keir Starmer was better at communicating, which was one of the criticisms, he would be able to say, oh, this is the plan for the economy and this is the plan for immigration. But even then, talking is only goes so far. At this point, like a year later, people in the UK want to see action, and I guess for some of you, you're not seeing it and you're unhappy, and that's good because that's how it all works. And I'm going to be really interested now to see where the future of the UK is headed, where the leadership of the UK is headed. I don't know when this could feasibly change, or even if you want it to change. But it sounds like a lot of people in the UK are unhappy with Keir Starmer. That's literally the name of the video. So I don't know. I'm going to be, now that I understand it all a lot better, I'm really sort of invested and interested in what's going to happen. And I hope something does happen, because I want the UK to succeed and to do well and be happy with the direction of your country and the leadership. So this was awesome for me to learn about, actually. Anyway, if you enjoyed this as well, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts on the UK government, Keir Starmer, especially if you're from the UK. This affects you the most. So it'd be cool to hear about that from any of you out there. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to the UK and learning about UK culture, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.